Yeah, we're
Get
just
to
missing,
somewhere with internet.
we're missing two members right now, Don Giesinger and Debbie Argano. The only two that I see missing, that this is with the exception of Richard Shannon, who won't be here. Oh, there she is.
And Grigor, I think Amanda Muther is on by phone.
Oh, is she good? Hi, Amanda. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and call this to order. And anybody have any public comments? Anybody from the public here? Okay, hearing none or seeing none, then we'll go into the consent calendar. This is going to be I won't say a lengthy meeting, but there's a lot of material here. So I hope you've had an opportunity to review most of the materials. The first thing is going to be the action minutes from our September 10th meeting. Any corrections or additions to the minutes? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, then we'll go into the meeting schedule for 21-22. And I hope you've had an opportunity to review that. The only thing I will point out is that one of the agenda items is going to be talking about D20 and this committee's participation in that. So this is strictly for the F14 meetings, the regularly scheduled ones. Those are, according to what I have here, July 15th of 21, December 16th of 21, July 14th of 22, and December 15th of 22. Any comments on that?
No, okay. Can you hear
Okay.
me? Gregor?
Yeah. Okay.
Come on now.
You're there, Don?
Yeah, I'm here now.
Okay, great.
Just on the phone.
Okay, just on the phone. Okay, great. Entertain a motion to approve the 21-22 meeting schedule.
Motion.
I'll make a motion
Okay.
to approve it.
Jason's made the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Gotcha, Ben. All right. Any further discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor of the accepting the meeting schedule, I'll say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Let's go on to the next matter. And that's the one that's a little bit going to be somewhat more of a discussion, I would suspect. And that's going to be, according to what I've got here, extended duties of this committee. And just to let you know, that just a little bit of the background, when Linda Henney, who was the CEO at the time, and I sat down and started this process for F14, working with the city, we didn't anticipate that we go beyond this committee having any other duties than every 6 months reviewing the expenditures and the income for road development. This is a whole new ballgame. And I helped work on the D20 matter for the city and working with the city and the various members of the city staff. And we didn't really ever discuss having this committee doing this kind of overview. So this is an expansion from both the chamber and the city council looking at this. There are a lot of meetings that are scheduled, from what I understand, public meetings, about 20 of them. And then starting in later spring, according to Rochelle, then the finance committee is going to be working with us. And Jerry, you can jump in anytime and talk about how that would possibly work.
Certainly, thank you. So yes, as Gregor said, there is kind of a lot of history about this. The council had discussed this issue on a number of occasions at their council meetings, I think in May and September and July. So they had really talked about this and trying to figure out how do we bring, how do we engage the public in this? How do we build transparency and trust in the process? And what does that look like? And do we need a separate committee just for the D20 funds as we have this committee for the F14 funds? So there's a lot to kind of contemplate in that. So the council did go through a lot of options. We did attach a couple of the staff reports that kind of go over some of those options. The thing is, if we get a separate committee, as you all know, it is a lot of effort to go through all of the, the red tape, the paperwork, the reporting that we have to do, the annual stuff. I mean, it's a lot for you all to step forward. We appreciate that, certainly. And to get another committee on board would be a lot of staff work, and then it would, involve more people coming forth to volunteer, as yourselves have for this process. So it is a kind of a lot to kind of work with, and council is trying to weigh options on how do we provide all this transparency and this trust and this oversight, but at the same time keep the costs down, keep the impact on the city staff down, to coordinate meetings and things like that. So the idea was kind of floated out there. What about the CSTOC committee? Since you all are already in place, you've already filled all your annual forms, we have all of the training and everything in place for you all, kind of the fabric of the infrastructure for it. And then have you look over all of the reporting and the information. So as Gerger said, we do have a number of meetings scheduled for public outreach, public input, trying to get the public engaged in the funds. Unfortunately, like some of the other, some of our neighbors, we don't have a lot of fun things that we can do with this money. Probably we have a lot of needs, which is why we wanted to pass it, public safety, infrastructure, all of that stuff. So we don't have quite as fun activities to plan. What are we going to do with this windfall of cash? It's how can we best use it to serve our community in places that we know we're not funding. We have a lot of unfunded liabilities. So trying to just cover all of that. So we do want to reach out and get that input back from the public, and we want to have an oversight to be able to do that and to build transparency. And so this is kind of the process that council felt would be most effective. So like this committee, it would be probably have a lot of tasks to kind of do an afterward to review all of the expenditures and make sure that they were spent in a manner that was in line with what was determined to be how they should be spent up front, which, as I say, this will be determined in this next couple of months. We're going to have all of these meetings, and then we'll go through that the finance committee meetings and then the city council meeting to adopt the next 2-year budget. We will have some metrics to be able to measure depending on how those funds get sorted out and where they're going to go and be spent. And then we will report back at the end of the year, like we do with this one, on this is what we spent it on overall. We hired another officer or something like that, and these are our metrics. This would be the report that will go out to the community to have you all kind of look through all the detail and turn every stone on that. So that's kind of the concept of how it is. I think it read in the council voted to utilize this committee to review annual expenditures as part of an annual report, along with the city's annual audit, which audit our whole financial statements, at a heavily publicized joint meeting of the finance committee and the citizens, and then this group. After review of the annual report and the audit, the CSTOC committee will report their findings to the city council. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions on this.
I have one. How much time are you envisioning this particular committee to be involved in? And we're volunteers, obviously, and we had a single purpose before. This expands it greatly. And I see Debbie would like to get a copy of the D20 to help her. Can somebody provide her with that later on?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Debbie Argano just asked if she'd get a copy of that. There are materials in there that are both arguments. There's not been an argument against it, but there are arguments for it that we helped draft. And then there's some explanations as to what the funds could be used for. Some of your report here does develop that very nicely.
Yes, I will send you some information.
So anyway, my question is, what do you envision as far as the time commitment for this committee down the road? And how many meetings are you think you're envisioning?
My understanding of it, and maybe Nick, you can assist in this, my understanding of it would be more of kind of as we do with this group, to meet and go over kind of the end of the year. This is what we ended up with. This is the report. So it would be either one more meeting in conjunction with the finance committee. So it would be 3 meetings per year, so 2 on the F-14, or is there a potential to merge one of the F-14 meetings in with the finance committee and be a combined meeting?
Okay. Yeah, I didn't want to stretch people's attention span for this committee because I said we were single purpose basically, and we're volunteers. We're representing our individual organizations. So, okay. So,
And I think-
anyway,
Can I
jump
add
in.
something?
Anybody who's got questions, go ahead, Nick.
One of the, when this first D20 was first came out, actually, we knew how this committee was working, and, this is a great committee, and it was, for accountability, really, this is all about accountability, making sure that the city is using the funds that are generated and the way that it was sold to the voters. And the D20 would be the same thing. The D20 is actually, there's not a sunset date or like a term like there is with the F-14. That's a 12-year term. D20 is until the voters vote not to have it. And it's a 1%, and it's a general tax, so it can be used on anything. Where there was that E20 or E14 that accommodated the measure F-14 that really said, should the monies generated by F-14, if it passed, be spent primarily on road repairs and neighborhood road repairs and things. So, we've been really diligent about making sure that it's the neighborhood roads, ones that people live on, that people knew that they would never get to. There's some maintenance of effort that we have, but the D20 is kind of anything goes on it. So it's really, it could be spent on anything. It's not constrained. And so it's a little different, but it's, what it was sold to as to the public. You all saw the signs, fire, police, infrastructure. So there are going to be some meetings. I think some of the attachments that Jerry had in her staff report talk about the first one, some of the meetings that are going to be coming up where we're going to take it on the road and start telling the constituents, what the money's going to be spent on. So I agree. I don't think it's going to be another big effort. It's probably just reviewing another report, to be honest.
Okay.
This committee needs to meet twice a year, so we usually meet in July and December. So.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments?
Sounds all right to me.
Okay. Yeah, Jason.
I just want to say oversight of the D20 funds is really an extra layer that would be fantastic for just a sounding board, to understand that, you've got different people from different walks of life, being able to like bring up ideas. And I find that kind of interaction really is helpful.
Good. Appreciate that.
I do have a question. I started with this through quota, and I wondered when do you go and look out for other groups to get someone to join this committee, or is there a term limit, or how does that work?
Nick, do you want to address that? You want me to? You get.
Jerry can.
I believe that the terms for each of the groups are staggered with the exception of the chamber. I believe that's a permanent position. And I believe the terms for the other groups are staggered. I think we are opening that up for those that are coming due. And I'm not sure about the quota, but I can look up those term dates. But I think we're getting ready to open that up for applications for any new committee groups that want to participate.
I would hope with the discussions that the city has with the public, that they share that there will be openings for other groups who may be interested in coming in. At least it would get some interest out there, certainly, in people who would like to spend some time reviewing things and being an oversight and sharing it with the public. I know that the people I've talked to in the neighborhoods that had their roads paved were very, very pleased with the work of the city and the Oversight Committee. Very, very pleased. They got their roads paved, they got the roads fixed, and they were just absolutely delighted. But it's a time commitment too. So I hope we can certainly share that with the public. Also, the city council has an appointment to be made for this committee. So I'm hoping they move forward with that. Okay.
Yeah, and I think one of the things to add on the D20 is, these are general funds. So F14, we can show you, here's the pay applications, here's the bills we got from consultants, here's where the D20 is just a supplement to the general tax.
Yeah.
So it's going to be harder. I'm not sure I'm sure Jerry's thought about this, because it was one of those things that's harder to kind of quantify, but we'll do that in such a way that we can show that the money is being used in a wise and appropriate manner. So.
Good. Okay.
When does that 1% kick in? Was that in July, or when was that? Don speaking here. That D20.
Jerry, do you know when it kicks in?
I think April 1st, maybe.
I think so. I think it is too.
Yes, correct. April 1st of 21.
Okay.
April 1st. Okay. Yeah, I
Just
think the terms.
Go ahead, Kathy. Oh, sorry.
I'll let
Yeah, the
Don.
terms were what? We had a 2-year term, and then I think they did a 2 and a 4. I know I'm a 4, so I think there's another year or 2 left. But I think that's the way it went, 2 and 4, depending on what space was available.
Okay. Kathy?
So just so I understand, the discussion that we're having is taking on the responsibility of the oversight for D20, correct?
Yes.
Okay, which is cool. I just want to make sure I'm on the same page.
Yeah.
Would we be expanding our numbers if we take that on, or is the thought to the city council thinking just to stay with the numbers that we have right now? Because of the responsibility in that it would be dealing with public safety and that type of thing.
Yeah, I can't answer that question from the city council, but I know that the bylaws we have here are fixed as to the terms. We have the numbers
Okay.
on there. I believe it's 9.
Yeah,
And
that's what we have.
the numbers at the city council are 2 that they can appoint. So
And
we don't want to
that's-
get too big,
Yeah, exactly. That was my concern, is that, you get a whole lot of, voices, becomes a cacophony sometimes. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that the number of committee members would stay the same. The structure would be the same. That's why it was like an easy thing to add to the D20, because it wasn't initially there, and there was some residents that were a little concerned about, how are we going to know the city's going to spend it like they say they're going to spend it? So be another big report that Jerry and her team has to put together. But
very
And then-
capable.
And this meeting that you have on the D20 would coordinate, it would be a combined meeting with the Finance Committee, which are 2 members of the City Council currently. That's Councilmember Borbeau and Councilmember Daris, City Treasurer Jerry Seebach, City Manager Rochelle Rickard, and myself.
Okay.
Okay.
And I did find the term limits on a document. Let's see, Chamber is the 12 years, 2 community group members appointed for 2 years, 2 for 3 years, and 2 for 4 years. And then the 2 city council appointments are 2-year terms.
That sounds good. Okay,
Well,
there's a 3.
Are we ready for this, committee members?
Yeah, we might as well give it a try. I mean, like you say, we're kind of involved and went through the process, and now to keep, it sounds all right to me.
And maybe by next December, we can meet in person.
Yeah, that's what I was looking forward to, that's for sure. Maybe sooner, maybe this summer.
Okay,
FDA just passed the vaccine a few moments ago, so
Oh, very good.
that's good news.
good
Very
deal.
good news.
Okay. Well, what I would like to do, and there's a recommendation that certainly staff wanted, was if there was no objection, then to go ahead and approve the recommendation that this committee expand its duties to participate in a review of the expenditures and revenues from Measure D20. And I think it's appropriate we have a motion to that effect to accept their recommendation. There we go, Jason.
I'll make that motion.
Ben, okay. So it's been moved and seconded that we accept the recommendation to expand the duties of this committee. And I guess it's going to be a work in progress, Jerry. So we're looking forward to what you're producing, and certainly Nick, any participation you will have too with this. So I'm going to call a question. All those in favor of accepting the recommendation of staff, say aye.
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 Opposed? Great. Thank you very much. Well, that was a little bit easier than I thought it was going to be.
Well, that's
This is
because
Ben. Can I ask a a clarifying question? We had,
Sure.
I'm in support of taking on the duties, but we didn't necessarily specify the how. Me personally, I would prefer to add that third meeting versus, stacking on another, potential hour or two of reviewing receipts. That would be my preference. I don't know if we're getting to that vote yet or what.
I think that's going to come up, Ben, and that's a really good point you made. And I would agree with you. We lead busy lives, and Debbie agrees too. She's mentioning that in the chat. Yes, go ahead, Nick.
And this is maybe a question for Jerry, because it all is a timing thing. Jerry, are you thinking that this report, because it takes a few months for the, administrative services to pay all the, bills that come in later and all of those things and kind of prepare. And it's like a huge effort that for Jerry and her staff to really put all these together in the end of the year and everything. But would you anticipate, Jerry, that report for the D20 would be kind of a similar time frame as the December report for the F14?
It certainly could be. We are finalizing all of the information for our financial auditors right now. So the books are closed and everything is done, but we haven't gotten the final report yet. So that's kind of where this time frame is. We think it's good and done and solid, but we don't have our final approval from the auditors. So we could do something like that. Anytime earlier than that, we probably wouldn't have all the finalized numbers. And certainly we could do it in January. We do present the financial audit to the city council in January. And I know for this particular, for F14, we need to have the meeting in December before that January timeframe. So I would expect somewhere in the December to January timeframe would be probably most likely.
Does that help you out, Ben?
I'm sorry?
I was just saying,
Yes.
Ben had the question.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah, and what I was thinking is maybe, rather than having one report dumped on you 1 week and another one dumped on a week after, maybe it's a January meeting that you end up having or something like that, just to fit Jerry's schedule and everybody else's. So.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so we'll see how this develops, but thank you much, everybody, for your discussions and your points. The next item we have then is the annual road report. So Nick, are you on?
This would be a Jerry report.
Oh, this is Jerry. Okay.
right.
Mine's a fun one with pictures and everything. Yours
Oh,
is
that's the last one.
with words.
Mine has numbers, Nick. Okay, I'm going to try to share my screen here, see if this works. Okay, do you see my screen?
It's black.
Oh,
There it is.
yes? Okay, excellent. Okay, Let's go ahead and how am I going forward? Oh, here we go. Okay, so similar to the prior years when we've looked at this, as you know, the council adopted an ordinance to outline the requirements for reviewing the expenses related with the sales tax measure F14 revenue. Of course, we appreciate all of your volunteer work to be on this committee to review the report. It does have financial statements, all of the revenue and expenditure information for the fiscal year 1920, which began July 1st, 2019 and ended June 30th, 2020. So the sales tax revenue started being collected April 1st, 2015. It is that half cent that has a 12-year sunset. The amount that we collected for that period was just a hair under 2.5 million. And we did earn interest in that. And I will let you know, accounting, the governmental accounting requires that we make an adjustment in our investments to fair market value at the end of the year. So it appears that we have 155,000 in interest income during the year. I will tell you that we earned 74,000 due to our investments, and the other 81,000 is just an accounting adjustment that will be kind of reversed out in the current year, and then it just every year we have to make that adjustment. So it kind of makes the interest income look like it's huge some years and tiny some years. And certainly it's been different with the year that we had so far in 1920, but the actual amount earned was about 74,000. Certainly nothing to sneeze at, but not quite as much as the 155 that's there. The expenditures by project, we spent the bulk of the money on the 2019 pavement rehabilitation. That was about 2 million. And then we started the 2020, as you know, a lot of our paving takes place over the summer in the kind of those warm months. And so we get started on it in 1 year and then complete it in the next year. And certainly the design process comes in before that as well. So you'll see we just started the 2020, spent a lot more money on it so far this year in 2021, and we have started the design work for the 2021 pavement rehab. All in all, we spent about just under 2.4 million in the fiscal year. We do have about 4.3 million in the fund balance at the end of the year. The projects are coming up. We have quite a bit to spend still. So we still have about 2.4 million that we're working on spending for that 2020 rehab that Nick and his folks are busy out getting that done. And then another 2.5 for the 2021 rehab, and then a 300,000 for the 2021 resurfacing. So a lot of projects are coming up. So we are continuing to spend that. It's just kind of a timing issue as we go along. And that's actually the completion of my report, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, very thorough. Okay, questions or comments? Oh, come on.
Real quick, on that adjustment, could you explain again what was that? Why is that interest adjustment? Why is so much money taken back out? What is that?
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of investments in CDs and all different kinds of instruments per our city investment policy. And governmental accounting standards say that if the market value of this investment, we purchased a CD for 245,000. At the end of the year, if the market value is 260,000, we have to recognize that 15,000 in interest. We're never going to earn that because we hold everything to maturity, and at maturity it will be worth 245,000.
Okay. I got it. Okay.
We're required to do that. So
There we
I
go.
just want to break that up because it's confusing and it seems a little deceiving to me.
I just had to make that connection. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
No.
Seeing none, thank you very much, Jerry. Great reports. We need to approve this fiscal year 2020 annual road report. If there's no further comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion to do that.
Okay, I'll second it.
Okay, who was the first, who made the motion?
Did you make the motion?
There it is, Kathy did. Okay, and Don seconded.
I'm
Okay,
seconding without a motion.
Oh, it all works. It came out.
it worked. Okay, so I'll call the question then to adopt the motion to approve the fiscal year 2020 annual road report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. Thank you very much. The last item of business is the community road report. This is what Nick's was referring to as the easy part, but it's not. So that's item, the last item on the agenda, sheet 2. Go ahead, Nick.
Okay.
Can you see this, my screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe next time. Okay.
Yeah. I'll describe it in vivid detail for Don. How about, I'm just
There
kidding.
you go.
Actually, with your packet, this came also, but every year as a companion to the report, just a kind of a summation that we mail to all the addresses in town is a little brochure. Last year, it used to be a trifold the first couple of years. It just didn't seem to be big enough to hold all the information that we needed. So we made it I guess a 4-panel, 2-sided document. But here it is, the draft for this year. One of the things it has is, the cover, obviously, and a mailing panel. But then maybe I should, I'll start over here. This is the other flip side. But we have the Atascadero roads. We've usually had this, you're hoping that somebody that maybe has gotten this in the past and has maybe just set it aside or put in recycling, maybe it catches their attention. One of these, so one of the things we need to do is, it seems like to you guys, it might seem like, oh man, I've already seen this. It's a lot of redundant information, but we're trying to really reach those folks that, we got to present it a couple different times in different ways and other things. So if it does seem redundant, that's why we do it, just so we can kind of hammer home the point, but also make sure we catch those folks that maybe haven't seen it in the past. But this first panel, Atascadero roads, just kind of talks about our roadway system, also talks about how we pick the roads with critical point management. Excuse me. And then in this table, we actually have the 2014 when we started the program, and 2019 last year we re-rated all the roads. And this table is really interesting to me because you see the kind of breakdown percentage of the roads in the different conditions. Excellent condition, we actually had more roads in excellent condition when we started this than we do now. It went down 2%. But we went 5 points up on good roads, from when we started. Fair roads, we dropped a little bit. Poor roads, we actually dropped quite a bit, 9 points, meaning that a lot of those poor roads went up into the good range and everything else. And then failed roads, we actually dropped down a little bit more. Critical point management, we're trying to catch those roads before they fall into a state of disrepair that we have to spend exponentially more on to bring to the same state that if we were to spend money sooner. But we do get at those fail roads as well. But overall, this other panel on the right, overall pavement conditions are improving. We I believe had this last year, but we wanted to kind of celebrate this one more time, that when we adopted in 2014, when we looked at this, and even with the money that we expected to come in with F14, we were expecting at that point in time in 2019, 5 years into it, that we're going to be at a 44 for a PCI, not dropping 3 points from 47. We actually went up to 50. It went the other way. So that is like a huge something I think that was really not expected, and I think it was a nice surprise. Measure 14 background, we have that in there as well. Then the main piece of it is in the middle, financial statement and project summary. So we're kind of looking at those 3 years, because it usually takes about 3 years of expenditures to get through a project. But you see 2019, 2020, and 2021, the monies that have been spent. So this is kind of a snapshot, or just a table that shows basically what Jerry's report showed, just with numbers. And then I might add, like, it looks like on this very bottom, fund balance year end, you can see we have a fund balance as of June 30th of $4.2 million. And one thing to consider, if residents do say, oh my gosh, the city's just socking that money away to whatever. No, we have, obligations already that have been committed for that money. And you can see on the bottom here for the 2020 project, which we're finishing up right now. They should have been paving Sumbria today. So we got Gabarda paved last week, and we've been really chipping away at these now. But there was still an outstanding amount of 2.6 million. And then for next year's project, there's a remaining budget of 2.5 million. So we are spending the money, so we are not stockpiling it anywhere. And then this other map with what to expect in 2020, we want to give people kind of a heads up where the next projects are occurring. So we have 2 projects next year: a resurfacing project, which is more surface treatment, crack sealing, and whatnot. Those roads are in the yellow. And then the rehab project, which is usually more substantial, those roads are in the yellow. So we're kind of working on the south end of town next year. I think the following year will be in the west part of town. So the other thing with this map is in the green, we kind of showed all the roads that we've done prior to the up through this year. So we kind of wanted to show, show something that's, wow, look at all the roads they're going. So as you can see at the end of this thing, we have, all the roads that are highlighted that we worked on as part of the project, the money. And I think it'll be something that, we can really celebrate. And I'm hoping that this committee will also recommend we try to do another ballot measure to keep that revenue stream coming in, because, and that's part of Jerry's and my job, is to really make sure this money is being used wisely and in a really efficient, good manner. And then the last one is the blue roads. There's 2 blue roads that were actually non-F14 money that we're working on next year. This is a traffic way in Ardea, and then South El Camino Real from basically El Bordeaux down to Santa Barbara, which is going to be a big project. But I guess with that, I'll be quiet and answer any questions, or if anybody has any comments.
Any questions?
Yeah, Nick. Yeah. Okay, should I go ahead?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Nick, I was going to ask you. I have some people ask me when you see the surveyors and the guys that are marking the center of the road and getting the measurements and doing that part of the work. What does that mean? That probably within 3 to 6 months or this summer they'll be starting the road? Is that an indication that it's going to be early instead of late? Or is that anything?
Right. So we just 2 days ago we had our first meeting with our design consultant on the 2021 project. So that's the roads in the red colored roads, and So they've been out there surveying. We've been getting surveying on a lot of these roads. So they'll see, spray paint. They'll see lath with little ribbons on it. They'll see a lot of that stuff in their front yard. So
Right.
that's occurred over the last, say, month or two. And that project will be right now scheduled to be bid, go out for a public bid in March, April timeframe, and then have that awarded shortly thereafter and have construction begin probably sometime in June or July. So it takes a little while to get through that design process and put those plans and specs together. Usually that's what we're doing during the winter time.
All right, well, that's good to know, because when people ask sometimes, so that was pretty close to that 3 to 6 months from that survey and start, maybe slightly give or take a month or two, your roads may be going to be getting done. So people, as they see those, they say, hey, so when's this going to start? So, yeah, typically, around close to 6 months, 5 to 6 months.
Yeah,
That's
usually.
good. That's good. So it's the early part, if you see that, compared to the one that winds up getting surveyed, let's say in April or May, that might not get done till the end of summer, or at maybe even like Sombrilla right now is being done in its wintertime. But we've had some great weather, so for the guys to do the work.
We've been very lucky.
There's a comment there that Debbie Argano did to all the panelists. It's in the chat area. I'll just quote her. She says, "I like the transparency of this document. This may be something to think about for D20."
Oh,
Just something to think about.
Berger,
nope.
this is Jerry. May I hop in for just a moment?
You bet.
I love that idea. Too, there is a little bit of a difference for the type of expenses that we'll probably have for D20 versus these. As Nick was saying earlier, I think these are a little bit more project specific.
Yep.
And those might be, hiring a new officer or whatever. So it will be harder to break it out. So we'll probably have a little bit different type of information, a different presentation, but I like that comment. I appreciate trying to figure out what works best for everybody in this.
Great. Thank you for your comments. Any other comments on this document? Okay, seeing none, the recommendation was for us to review and endorse the 2020 Community Road Report. So I'll entertain a motion to endorse this report.
Motion.
Okay, Ben, is there a second?
I'll second.
Good. Jason seconded. Okay, any further questions or comments on this? Seeing none, then I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much, Nick, for all your work on this, and Jerry, thank you for all your work and your comments. Go ahead.
One thing is I want to really thank Amanda Uther too, our deputy city clerk. She puts this brochure together.
Oh, she did.
Yeah, not me. So I'm not.
Well,
I review
Amanda,
it. So.
are you online, Amanda?
I hope she is.
I hope you can hear me. I think I'm connected properly now.
The thank you is from all of us. This was very complex, and you did a lot of work on this, but thank you very, very much.
Oh, thank you.
And I did read all of it. I promise you.
Excellent.
The only question is, I have to sign this. How do you want to proceed on that? How do I make arrangements to sign this?
Gregor, I can reach out to you and maybe coordinate a time tomorrow or next week when you're available.
I'm available anytime.
Excellent. Well, I'll figure out a time with you later.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you.
Is there anything else for the good of the order? Looks like we got a lot of comments. Go ahead, Nick.
Amanda, do you recall when this is going to come to city council? Is it the first meeting or second meeting in January? I don't recall, or maybe Jerry remembers.
I believe it will be the first meeting, but I'm not certain that we had it on the future agenda list that way. So I'll double check. If it's the first meeting, that would be January 12th. Okay. If it is the second meeting, it would be, let me just double check that date.
26.
Perfect.
Yeah. Maybe one thing we can do is maybe once that agenda comes up, we can forward it to all the CSTOC members. And I know the council always likes it when you guys come and have a comment, or Gregor, if you want to be a spokesperson
Whatever.
for the group, they always enjoy having committee members, comment on this item.
I think we did kind of plan on maybe having it on the second meeting, the January 26th meeting. And I know we do have that kickoff for the D20 presentation and feedback and everything on the 12th. So that'll be a longer meeting. So that, I think this one is tentatively for the second meeting.
Okay.
And maybe Amanda, we can forward that agenda, your email agenda, maybe send both of those out, because the first meeting with the D20 is going to be something that this committee might want to tune into also.
Okay. And also
Absolutely.
how to get on the Zoom portion for that. Okay. Anything else from this committee?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask Nick, as far as like the 2021 your road schedule and it sounds like you're pretty much on schedule. You're not, as far as what was completed in 20, you really completed almost everything you wanted to, I assume, right?
Yeah, so the only roads left for this year's project, and our contractor got delayed a little bit with some other work and got hung up, but if we wanted to really hammer them, we could, but there was really no reason to.
Right.
But we're on track. The last stuff to do is to Unipero is going to be in Palomar, our left. So Unipero, we've done that except the very top, and that's going to be kind of more of a reconstruct. And then Palomar is the one that kind of is like at the Food for Less or Burger King, I believe that one. And then that's going all the way back, but that's a mill and overlay. But if you haven't driven them, Drive Valet, that's a really interesting one. That we still need to do work up on the top of Valet too, but they're coming out really good.
Yeah, that wasn't an easy one either. So my question would be that as far as 21 roads, do you have a little bit of a schedule of approximately when you plan on starting those? Like, June, July, August, September, so on? Or do you just kind of let them fall in where they fall in?
No, the only thing I can tell you is the project will start in the June to July timeframe.
Okay.
We don't know which roads would go first or anything else. We wait till we get the contractor on board, and then we get a schedule and communicate that to the affected residents.
That's a good answer. So it's a little bit to do with the contractor. He gets the bid, but he said, I can't start till July, compared to maybe one might say, he got the bid, but I'll start in May or June if it's ready to go. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, no, usually once we have a pre-con meeting, after it's awarded, we issue a notice to proceed, and then they have to get going. But it's more of how are they going to execute the project? Which roads are they going to do first? And the sequencing, we kind of leave up to the contractor as long as it works for us. So.
Okay.
Well, great comments. Thanks, Don, very much. Anybody else have any comments or questions?
Yeah,
ahead,
just a comment. I had noticed on one of the roads that was resurfaced or redone that the city left a sign out saying, this was funded by F14. I just want to call it out. I think that's a neat idea, so that every time someone starts on that road, they, if they happen to glance and read it, they'll know how their tax money is being spent. I think it's a good idea.
That's a great suggestion. That's great. Okay, well, if there's nothing more, then I'll call the meeting to close. I want to thank everybody for the participation, and, Amanda, you really put together quite a document here. So anyway, and I didn't read it all. And thank you all, Nick and Jerry, thank you both for your reports too.
All right, have a nice holiday, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
happy
Christmas and wonderful
holidays.
holidays, and we'll see you, we may see you in January in front of the city council. And Debbie, thanks for your comments. Okay, all, take care.
Thanks,
Take
everyone.
care.
Thank you.
No.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.